I want to get into something a little bit more controversial next, the flushing plants or soil prior to harvest. Should growers flush their plants or soil prior to harvest? If so, what are the benefits?
Okay, the number one is the term, because what they would actually be doing, they're not flushing the plant, they're actually leaching the soil. Leaching the soil. Flushing's a different term, and usually people use that term flushing. I made this mistake until I was corrected. So now it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. You can plant, you can grow right, fertilize right up to the end. What the deal is, see, now this is where my perspective comes in. This is the good part about being an old guy. Because see, when this industry grew, the real money there was real money in fertilizer. That's where the money was at because people needed it over and over, and then they could keep buying it over and over. Well, as we all know, most of what you find in fertilizer is water. So they take a little bit, and to make a dollar, like well, say if we use a dollar for example, make $1 worth of fertilizer that you would buy retail, it costs you about 2 to 3 pennies to make that. So you've got a big margin there. So that's why everybody seemed to be an expert in fertilizers. And because that's where the only place they make any money at it, and that you couldn't make any money at lights because they were made by big companies and or the other stuff, you could buy all of that stuff at the nursery. But the fertilizers, if you had your special fertilizer, well, then you could grow the best plants, the biggest plants. So everybody was an expert. Well, now you go into a nursery, for example, any plant, just any kind of a plant nursery, and you look and see, you go to the fertilizer section, and you see there'd be about like 20, maybe 30 different fertilizers for, I don't know, 300, maybe 500 different types of plants. You got 20 kinds of fertilizers for 500 different kinds of plants. Well, you got this plant, the one that we've been dealing with, this plant here, and what do we have? We have one plant and like 500 kind of fertilizers for it. Something's backwards. Something's backwards. Well, it's money. Money is the thing that's made the big difference. So what they've done is, and then they make that the hydroponic fertilizers. They make all kinds of different mixes with them and stuff. Well, that's just to take people's money out of their pocket because I never used all that stuff and it's worked fine for me. Um, yeah, so that's what I'd be thinking out about more than anything else. I don't have any good statistics here, but I was a garden writer in America. Like Garden Writers of America. We had an association, a national association. Yeah, and one of the things that we learned there was, see, people put home gardeners put about 10 times more fertilizer and chemicals on their gardens than they need to, you know. And the same goes with indoor growers too. They put a lot more stuff on there than they need to. And it's a real good living and stuff, but a lot of that stuff you just don't need. You don't need. You know, they got you loaded up so heavily on all the fertilizers. Um, I wonder. I mean, it's not a real. I'm not going to be real popular with the few people in the industry. But man, I mean, all those fertilizer guys made tons of money. I mean, I mean, serious money. And I mean, some guys had like 7 different products you'd put in. You got a little pot here, and you got 7 different products you put in there. That's a lot. I don't understand that. And then the farmers, I mean, you just need a little bit of fritted trace elements, the fritted trace elements, those are the ones that, it means like claw, so it hooks. It hooks onto the other elements and it stays with them. So it's immediately available. And then that and then your primary nutrients, and that's about it. Secondary ones, and they mix sulfur with everything. I mean, it's just like hooked onto sulfur molecules, hooked onto everything. It seems so you don't need any sulfur because it's already there. Um, yeah, yeah. But if anything, I mean, for people, I would suggest that they get a soil test. If you want to do something, get a soil test. That's the best thing to do because then you find out what you need. And also with the organic stuff, people carry that over, go overboard on that. I know I certainly did in the first few years when I was organic gardening, gardening organically. I had I don't know, maybe 10% organic matter in the soil, and 5 is a lot. Yeah, but it causes more trouble than it's worth. But yeah, I mean, you go to a soil scientist and they will always call it mineral soil because it's mainly minerals. You know, those guys are really well educated, and I'd listen to them.
Go to the full episode by clicking the outro card here, or click the link in the description section below. Catch you in the next video.